What's going on, people? So, I wasn't really going to do an actual video about this. I mean, I had thought about it in the past, but then I just ruled it out. But since I happened to read this book last night and I knew I was going to be doing these today, I figured, you know what? I am going to talk about this. Why not? Take a few minutes, share my thoughts. So this is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Street Fighter. This is the hardcover edition, right? Like the paperback that you normally see where they just take all the issues, in this case 5, and cram them all into one thing. Makes it a nice seamless read. So I knocked this out last night. It took about an hour, you know. I mean, a little bit of pausing in there to look at pictures and stuff. So it's a fairly quick read. Just putting that out there, right? So I guess that's, you know, what was that, like a little over 10, under 20 minutes per book if you want to look at it that way. Now, before I get into this, I had also I had started buying the individual issues like each month, right? But then IDW, who actually released this, their distribution of things is like weird. So you would think that they would always just be on their site, at least initially. No, like they had the issues like 1 through 3 up there, but then after that, they just kind of stopped doing it. So I'm going to have to probably get on eBay if I want to get those last couple covers. But either way, I did get these all straight from them. So they made one of these sort of things where it's just one of the, what do you call it, like the combination covers, you know, where it's just like makes one big scene, you know, connecting covers. That's the word I was looking for. Or makes like the one big scene. So I like that. That's pretty cool, right? So I'll have to get you a picture in there because obviously me flipping through these like that is not going to be helpful to anybody. The only minor complaint I have about these is that they don't exactly line up. I've seen some comic covers where like everything lines up perfectly. These, it's close, just not quite on par with other things that I've had, right? So whatever. Now, moving on from all that, right? Talking about like the actual book here. I'm going to tell you this, and obviously there are spoilers in this because it is kind of a review. This book, while entertaining, like if you stop to think about it, is just freaking ridiculous, right? So the way this whole thing kicks off, for whatever reason, Raphael has decided like I need to go and like test myself against some of the greatest fighters in the world. So where does he go? Some underground fighting tournament, right? Where apparently there's just random people there, just people from New York, and also the Street Fighter guys are there too because they also decided to test themselves against the other greatest fighters in the world, right? Seems like a better way to do that, but that's what they did. So either way, that's happening, you know. And overall, this whole thing, unbeknownst to them, has been set up by M. Bison, right? Who, from what I read in Street Fighter lore, originally M. Bison was going to be, I can't remember which one he was, but his name was supposed to go to Balrog. Balrog, yeah. It would have been Balrog, right? Because, you know, he was like the boxer. So M. Bison was going to be like Mike Tyson, and then Balrog, I guess, was going to be the Russian dude, right? But then they just had to switch things up because of like lawsuits or something. I don't know. That's just what I heard. It might not even be true. But either way, so M. Bison, he's running this whole situation, right? Because his plan is he's going to find these rage-filled people of the world, and he's going to take the ones that are a little angrier than your average and harness their psycho power, as he calls it, into powering this bomb, right? Which is kind of weird to me. It seems like since he's working with old Blackster Stockman over here, right? Figure like this guy can make a bomb out of anything, right? Like what do you need this for? But again, I get it. You know, it's 2023 at the time of this. People are trying to move into more green energy things, stuff that's more sustainable, right? Less impact on the environment, even though you're using it to blow up a part of the environment. Maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know. Again, this whole thing is a little ridiculous. So either way, he sees Raphael fighting. He's like, oh, this is going to be the guy. I need him. He'll help put me over the top, right? So he goes and orchestrates this big plan to like abduct him. He also takes Chun-Li as well, right? Because apparently like she made sense to take too. And so then the Ninja Turtles, like as this whole tournament was going on, you know, at first they're kind of like up against each other because, you know, they're originally just fighting each other because that's how the tournament was. But then they see that their friends are gone. Like, oh my God, we need to work together. We were mad at each other 2 minutes ago, but now our people are missing. Normal stuff. So they run off to go and find them. Eventually they find them. There's a big fight and whatnot. Shredder appears because he had been captured at some point, which makes it sound like he was just some random dude they found, right? Kind of downplays the whole Shredder situation in my eyes, right? So they have him in there. Eventually he gets loose, and then he's fighting with like M. Bison for a little while. Very, very, very little while, honestly. You would think there would have been more of that since they're like the two big guys. But no. And so then, since these guys, the Turtles and the Street Fighters, aren't sure like how they're going to take these guys down, Raphael, like, he sees the bomb and he's been filled in on all this stuff, right? And they're like, okay, we need to do something about this bomb, otherwise it's going to go and blow up Manhattan, because that was also part of Bison's big plan, was to blow up Manhattan. So I think I played a video game about that back when I was in 4th grade. But either way, Raphael is like, no, like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to absorb all the rage power, and like, then they won't have a bomb anymore, and I'm going to use that power to fight those two dudes. I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So he does that, goes in there, absorbs all this power. How? I don't know. I guess you just walk in there and then it just like goes into you. I don't think that's how bombs work though. So whatever. He goes in there, becomes like super big, comes out, and he goes to find like Bison and Shredder, and he's like, I'm gonna fight you guys, and then he just like throws them into the ocean. I'm like, well, that was a very quick and worthless ending to that little part of the story. So then, like, you see them like later, like they have a little panel later on. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna fight now because I'm still mad at you, or whatever they were doing, right? And then the Turtles and the Street Fighters are over here eating nachos and getting on a bus so they can all go their separate ways or something like that. So yeah, all in all, it was something to do, right? It was an interesting read because I do like Ninja Turtles, and so there is that. So I got a little bias in there. But if it was like a good use of my time, I mean, I wouldn't say all that necessarily. It didn't take me away from doing anything because I wasn't doing anything else, right? I mean, it was Thursday night. What's happening on Thursday nights? I mean, well, TNA, if you have whatever channel that comes on, I guess. But overall, nothing, right? So there you go. There's that little rundown. But it's probably relatively cheap if you're looking at getting into it, right? You go ahead, pick it up. I wouldn't pay too much for it, but I mean, I also don't know what I paid for it, so that there might be some hypocritical thoughts in there. But whatever. At the end of the day, it's a Ninja Turtles book, and they're fighting the Street Fighters. Should you expect a whole lot out of it? No, you shouldn't, right? That'd be crazy. About as crazy as this particular plot. But when you're sitting there looking at this stuff, you can't help but think how foolish it is. But whatever. I don't regret buying it. I don't regret reading it. Who knows? I might even read it again one day. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Gotta do one more thing, then go off to work, I suppose. Later, people.